The word formula in the name of the sport Formula 1 means a set of rules which all participants' car must conform to. This is a set of rules that has to be enforced in some way, and that's where the FIA comes into play. What is the FIA? Many fans have heard of the FIA within the context of Formula 1, but this organisation is much bigger than that. The acronym FIA stands for Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile. The association was established as far back as 1904 and has been representing the interests of motoring organisations and motorcar users. The FIA also promotes road safety around the world. This multinational organisation's got its headquarters in Paris at the Place de la Concorde. It also has offices in Geneva and Valerie. The scope of the FIA is as huge as 246 member organisations in 145 countries all around the world. The FIA is mostly known by its French name or initials, although it is rendered as International Automobile Federation. The main function of the FIA is in the sanctioning and licensing motoring sports like the Formula 1, World Rally Championship, World Touring Car Cup, World Rallycross Championship, Formula E, and quite a number of other forms of racing. How did the FIA come to be? The organisation that eventually came to become the FIA, which was called the Association Internationale de l'Automobile Clubs Reconnaissance, AIACR, was founded on June 20th, 1904. It was initially created as an association of national motor clubs as a method of representing the interests of motorcar users, as well as to be in control of the blossoming international motorsport scene. The FIA delegated who would be in charge of the Grand Prix racing to the Commission Sportive Internationale, which would later become the Formula 1 and Formula 2. The European Drivers' Championship was then introduced in 1931. Formula 1 and Formula 2 were established as new racing categories upon the resumption of motor racing at the end of the Second World War, when the AIACR was renamed to the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile. What did the FIA do back then? The Commission Sportive Internationale, which was under the FIA, was in charge of creating the regulations as well as the calendar of major international championships like the Formula 1. The teams had a lot of tension back then, which made them form themselves into the Formula 1 Constructors Association, FOCA, in 1974. They clashed with the FIA, which led to them taking charge of various aspects of Grand Prix racing and its organisation. In an attempt to reassert authority, a dispute ensued with FOCA. This saw many races being cancelled or boycotted, and a large-scale disagreement was had over the technical regulations of the sport and their enforcement. The FIA was not as strict with its regulation back then, which led to the unfortunate events of the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, where Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger met their deaths. After this occurrence, the FIA had some reforms and formed an expert advisory safety committee to research and improve safety in motor racing. This committee worked with the Motor Industry Research Association to strengthen the crash resistance of cars and the restraint systems, all in an effort to improve the safety of drivers. This led to significantly more stringent crash testing for racing vehicles, as well as new safety standards for protective equipment like helmets and race suits. Circuit safety was also looked into and improved all around, and this led to a number of changes at motor racing circuits all around the globe. Trackside medical procedures and crash barriers were improved, creating a safer environment for the sport. Controversies involving the FIA. As all organizations, the FIA is not perfect, and in the running of the day-to-day activities, there are bound to be chinks in the armor. In 2007, there was a much talked about espionage controversy in Formula 1. The controversy involved accusations against McLaren, who were accused by the FIA of stealing technological secrets from Ferrari. Martin Brundle, who wrote a column in the Sunday Times, commented about how the FIA had handled the situation. He entitled the column, "Witch Hunt Threatens to Spoil World Title Race." In it, he accused the FIA of deliberately targeting one automaker in particular. There was also another controversy in 2008, when it surfaced that the FIA president, Max Mosley, was involved in scandalous sexual behavior. Following a decision by the FIA to retain Mosley as the president despite the accusations, the German branch of the FIA, which is the ADAC, announced, "We view with regret and incredulity the FIA General Assembly's decision in Paris, confirming Max Mosley in office as FIA president." It froze all activities with the FIA, refusing to resume until Max Mosley left office. Regulations of the FIA on Formula 1. The FIA has some very stringent rules when it comes to the specifics of a car. These rules can be restrictive, but they have made teams come up with creative ways to bring their vehicles to peak performance. Regulations on teams may be technical or sporting regulations. A Formula 1 car, for example, cannot be more than 200 centimeters wide and 95 centimeters tall. Each car must have 4 wheels and are mounted externally off the bodywork, with only 2 front wheels steered and only the back 2 driven. The addition to detail in Formula 1 is so much that there are minimum distances allowed between the wheels and the rear and front bodywork. The engines too are subject to stringent regulations. Since 2014, only 1.6-litre V6 turbocharged engines are used during the Formula 1 season. The minimum weight for the engine is 145 kilos. The amount of fuel in a car which it can carry is also monitored, the limit being 119 kilos. Formula 1's also got a single supplier of tyres, and that's been the case since the 2007 season, and that supplier is Pirelli. Each team is only allowed a limited number of tyres during a race, 13 dry, 4 intermediate, and 3 wet tyres. Teams are also required to send samples of fuel to the FIA before each race to make sure they are compliant with the relevant rules. Well, that's it for the FIA. This organization has been slowly carving Formula 1 to be one of the most entertaining sports out there. What do you think about the FIA? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our last video on everything you need to know about the Abu Dhabi circuit. Until next time.